Hello, everybody. Welcome to CodeBreakers Live. Thank you for joining us today. Um, wow, what a week. So, anybody who knows, has been watching me for the past few years, knows something I shared with you guys a long time ago, but I've done it over and over and over again, is what God showed me about Alexander Dugin years ago. I didn't know who he was, I didn't know anything about him. I do now, but I didn't then. I had no clue, didn't even know he was Russian, but I saw the name, only his name, and God said Alexander Dugin is Putin's Rasputin. And this week, some stuff has come out that's connected to the prophecy my dad gave on March 20th of 2014, where he saw Russia joining hands with Iran. And Insurrection Barbie, I have so much information. I'm going to make sure I don't forget anything. Insurrection Barbie is an account on X that I follow. I didn't even really pay attention. It was just I knew she would post a lot of truth, a lot of stuff I agreed with. So I followed her, and she released an article that she wrote called "The Long Game and the Conservative Right" this week that really started to bring together what my dad has prophesied about the Fourth Reich. Now, for a while there, I focused a lot, quite heavily, on the World Economic Forum and the globalists. Rightly so. But it isn't just that. It and something I'm finding, as with the Esther prophecy, I think we're discovering too, is that a lot of the stuff Dad prophesied was a lot more literal than we realized, certainly for me. Barbie doesn't have a Ken. Or I think she does, actually. She's a mom. So she's married, and but I would recommend following her at this stage. Um, this article that she wrote is unbelievable. I sent it out to Lance Wallnow, who reposted it, and Amanda Grace, who will be joining us. She's not here yet. She's got something she's doing, so she's going to hop on with us as soon as she's done. So she was doing church stuff, and as soon as she's done, she's going to join us. So probably in about an hour, maybe less. We'll see. So we'll get to hear from Amanda as well, because I sent this article to her, and it really has helped us to understand the Fourth Reich prophecy, but also what is happening on what is now being called the woke Reich, Reich, which this is lining up with what my dad prophesied. And now, as you bring the other prophecies together, you can understand the joining of Islam with communism, liberalism. That's how they were able to take over Iran. The Iranian regime was able to take over Iran in 1979, was the coupling of the liberals, with the Islamists. And so also we need to distinguish some stuff, okay? An Islamist is an extremist Muslim. And so I know I've had Muslim people come in the chat and contact me, and there are plenty of Muslims, especially living in America, those who've been westernized, um, those who are wanting to convert perhaps to Christianity or questioning. There's a lot of people who identify as Muslim, and I'm not doing a broad, I disagree vehemently with Islam, of course, but we are actually the enemy that we are addressing is an extremist Islam. I'm sure you guys understand that, but just for anybody, I want to be clear that there is this extremism in Islam that is taking over. So that's why you see the other surrounding Middle Eastern countries who are also Muslims siding with America right now, because they are also being bullied. It's the way I see it anyway. They're being bullied by these jihadis and extremist groups. And so as soon as they had an opportunity to be free of that, you found that, and also that they've been attacked by Iran. All of them have been bombed by Iran, by the regime. And I want to distinguish that as well. You have the Iranian regime, and then you have the Iranian people in Iran and the diaspora, which is all over the world. The diaspora have been very, very vocal and supportive of their family, friends, and other Iranians who are still in Iran, who are desperately trying to take their country back. You also have the situation there where you have the Iranians who want that, and then you have Iranians who still support the regime. Although it is a small population, it is there. And so many people are concerned after we saw what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan. We don't want these long wars where our soldiers are being killed for what? I mean, you saw what happened with Afghanistan. It was full circle. 20 years, they turned around, handed Afghanistan back to Al-Qaeda. Now it's worse. Now in Afghanistan, women can't even speak anymore. So these are women who grew up in Afghanistan, and they were able to get educated, and it was changed there. Um, and then as soon as we pulled out and gave it back to Al-Qaeda, they've reversed it. So those women who grew up without that, who had lived for a long time without those restrictions, are now suddenly restricted. So I can't imagine how difficult that is for them. But we don't want to see that kind of situation happening again, where America intervenes, the West intervenes, and it doesn't end up being better. The difference with Iran, however, is that the Iranian people, the majority of the Iranian, and that's important, the majority of the Iranian people are want this. They want the regime gone. They want to have control over their own country. Whereas in Iraq and Afghanistan, that wasn't the case. So you had our soldiers on the ground there who are trying to uh, uh, do whatever they're there to do, democratize the region, and the people there don't want it. So they're fighting not only military but people. But in Iran, the situation is different. And so that's something that the Iranian people have been very particular about trying to relay to the West, especially anyone willing to help them. And we know that they've risen up again and again and again. Of course, 2009 with Obama and all that, then the Iran deal after that. And, my dad was prophesying about this all the way through, but he was also prophesying about this from the very beginning. So in 1993, he broke his wrists. I witnessed that accident. It was very demonic what happened to him. But the result of that was what he called piercing the darkness. He saw an enemy coming to the West, particularly America, which is why God sent him here. And that enemy was the beast of the East. Lou, do we have the 9/11 prophecy? Do we have it? Okay, can you play it? Lou will play it. Let's just watch the 9/11 prophecy again. This is 1996. So he saw the warriors of the new millennium. He saw the beast of the East. Then 1996, he sees 9/11. Let's have another look at this.
There has been a terrorist act and will be another. For the Spirit of the Lord says America will retaliate. But God says even as they retaliate with natural weapons of war, and they say we will go to the place of the East and we will go and we will bring them down for what they did to our people as they flew in the air of a Long Island. But the Spirit of the Lord says another will take place. But God says the retaliation will not be right. It will not be of my spirit. It will be a wrong decision. But God says the saints of the Lord, of the Most High God, will begin to pray. And yet God says, I will strike down the God of the East. I will bring something to pass very soon. I have told you about it. The very God of the East, the very King of the East, the very Prince of the East, the one that waged a war against America and spoke about the mother of wars. For God says this is going to be the mother of wars. 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 Going to be the mother of wars.
So that's one that I had when I put that together to release it again, because we don't have video of it. We only have audio. It was 1996 at the Gathering of the Dangerous in Dearborn, Michigan. I was 16 years old. I was there. So I have been, hanging around as my dad was prophesying all these things over the years, but they had an impact on me. First of all, 1993, I saw him. I watched that accident. I was racing him on a moped, through the neighborhood, and it completely malfunctioned. It was demonic. There was a kill switch on it, a red button that should have cut the engine. Didn't work. Brakes didn't work suddenly. And he was thrown from the scooter, motorized. It was called a moped. He was thrown from it and landed this way on his hands, which broke both of his wrists. Now, my dad played the piano. That was a huge part of his ministry, was that he worshiped, and from the worship came prophecy most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. And so it was a definite attack from the enemy to silence him, to stop him. And he was taken to the hospital. He had a reaction to medication they gave him that almost killed him. It was a crazy thing that happened. And through the course of that, God revealed to him an enemy, the beast of the East. You heard him say it in the 1996 prophecy about 9/11, because really this does go back there. Iran was connected to all of that, the Iranian regime. And so, years pass. My dad, he starts prophesying all kinds of stuff, and it's coming to pass, and all this happens. Then he starts to see a Fourth Reich. So, Lou, let's play the Fourth Reich. This is one of them. This was in 2010 in Paris, France. Now, before you play it, I just want to give you guys just rehash this a little bit. Dad, in 2012, 2 years later, sent me to that church. He sent me also to Italy, to the Netherlands, to Poland, where I went to Auschwitz. And I was going over that footage of me at Auschwitz and speaking about what happened to me there, and my conversation with a survivor who I met there, Kitty, where she warned me about Islam and what was going to happen. And at the time, I didn't believe it, and I had been conditioned, growing up, and then not really growing up, but through the post 9/11 years, where it was really drummed into our heads not to be Islamophobic. And so, I was always hesitant to even address those kinds of things at that time in my life, because everywhere around me, it was like, well, you don't want to just be Islamophobic, which I didn't want to be. But that has been used against us in the West, amongst many other things, to the advantage of our enemies who wish harm upon us. And so let's look at the Fourth Reich prophecy from France, and we'll come back, or I'll be here, and I'll explain to you why I want you to read this article.
But Europe will be affected in the same way that Daniel was praying. There was a war in the heavens. Prince of Persia. There was a battle going on. As there is today, a war will take place. It shall be short-lived, because as France destroyed the power of invasion from the Middle East in the 7th century, so shall it rise up and destroy the invading forces from the beast of the East. There will be a second reformation in Europe. God says, I will begin in France. All the tribes of the earth shall be affected by the sound. Christian, Jewish, Islam, Buddha, they shall hear Jesus. Jesus shall touch every tribe, every nation, every language, from the sound, from this place. It shall never end, and the battle shall be won. That word is Yeshua, 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 Jesus. But Europe will be affected.
L'Europe sera affectée.
And the same way that Daniel was praying.
Et de la même façon que Daniel a prié.
There was a war in the heavens.
Il y a eu une guerre dans les lieux célestes.
Prince of Persia.
et le prince de la Perse.
There was a battle going on,
Il y a eu une bataille qui a été,
as there is today.
comme il y a aujourd'hui,
And France
et la France
shall join forces
va joindre ses forces
with Great Britain
avec la Grande-Bretagne
and some other nations.
et avec d'autres nations.
There will be a war.
Et il y aura une guerre
It shall be a short war.
courte.
Hear me, please.
Écoutez-moi bien,
This war,
cette guerre,
and I'm not talking about a spiritual war,
et là je ne parle pas d'une guerre spirituelle,
a war will take place.
il y aura une guerre
It shall be short-lived.
très courte.
Because as France
Parce que comme la France
destroyed the power
a détruit le pouvoir
of invasion
de l'envahisseur
from the Middle East
et des envahisseurs du Moyen-Orient
in the 7th century,
dans le 7e siècle,
so shall it rise up
alors la France se lèvera
and destroy the invading forces
et elle va détruire aussi des forces qui
from
vont
the beast of the
envahir,
east,
qui viendront de l'Est,
and they will overcome
et nous allons vaincre.
an agreement
Et nous allons vaincre un accord
between Russia
entre la Russie
and Iran.
et l'Iran.
So Kim, we don't want the war. Too bad.
Ah, je ne veux pas faire la guerre, tant pis.
There shall be. Now don't get frightened.
Il y aura, maintenant n'ayez pas peur.
We have an enemy that wants to invade.
Nous avons un ennemi qui voudrait bien envahir
Take Christ out of Europe.
afin d'enlever Christ de l'Europe.
Sitting on the front row here
Ici, dans la rangée de devant,
is a pastor from the Netherlands
nous avons ici un pasteur de la Hollande
and a pastor from England.
et un pasteur de l'Angleterre.
They represent the soil
Ils représentent le sol,
and the territories.
la terre,
God is going to pour out His Spirit.
où Dieu veut répandre de son esprit.
Germany will be included.
L'Allemagne sera inclus,
Italy.
l'Italie.
There shall be a great move of the Spirit.
Il y aura un grand mouvement de l'esprit.
It is literally the next Reformation
C'est littéralement la prochaine réforme
that will come about
qui va arriver
because of reconciliation.
à cause de la réconciliation.
And the Fourth Reich
Et la 4e Reich
shall be overcome.
sera vaincue,
For the hatred for the Jewish people
car la haine contre les Juifs,
and the people of Christ
contre le peuple de Dieu,
is causing demonic rage.
est en train de provoquer une rage
But
démoniaque.
God,
Mais Dieu
has made a declaration.
fait une déclaration,
One word
une
out of the
parole,
mouth of these people,
une parole qui sort de son peuple.
and the battle shall be won.
La bataille sera gagnée.
That word
Cette parole,
is Yeshua.
c'est Yeshua.
Jesus.
Jésus.
Jesus.
Jésus.
Say His name.
Dis son nom.
Say His name.
Dis son nom.
Now, surely you can see when you look around you today what he referred to at the end there. The hatred for the Jews and the Christians is causing demonic rage. And I mean, if you if you're paying attention at all, you will understand what we're seeing right now is what he prophesied then. So interestingly enough, he's naming the countries in Europe, and America's not there, which he didn't say America. He actually said to Europe. Now, something that I find interesting is that is the reluctance of the UK and France to assist us as our allies with the war in Iran right now. I mean, England, Keir Starmer would not allow us, America, to use Diego Garcia, which they control. That's that little island out in the ocean. It's anyway. Keir Starmer would not allow. Now, eventually, he kind of came around there, but you can see how controlled Europe now is. That they refuse to assist their ally out of fear of being called Islamophobic. Also, they have so much Muslim leadership in England. I mean, the mayor of London supports the regime. So this is beginning to play out. This prophecy that I have tried to figure out for years and years, but I was in a rush. I was in a hurry. This was prophesied over me by Roger Teal, who said, God says you're in a rush. I will shut you down. Remember, Bully? I'm just remembering this.
I remember.
I think I need to call Roger Teal. There's many things I want to discuss with him about this, but he saw that I would be in that position. And I mean, you guys have been on this. How many times have I played that
He even
prophecy for
grabbed
you?
your hand.
Yes. He said, well, I have to twist your arm. What's that part about? But the point being, though, that we've done CodeBreakers now for years, and we've looked at a lot of these prophecies again and again and again, knowing and understanding that they weren't fulfilled. And when we feel like we're on the cusp of it, we're like looking at the prophecies again. And it wasn't time, and it wasn't time, and it wasn't time, especially the Fourth Reich, because I was so focused on World Economic Forum and globalism, and I was being foolish because he very clearly speaks he addresses the Prince of Persia and the Beast of the East. Mm-hmm. And now we understand, oh my gosh, everything has come together so much.
Iran,
yes,
we know as Persia, but the old Persia helped the Israel.
Yeah, 2,500 years ago, Cyrus.
And now the true Persians are asking for freedom.
Yes. Yes, they are.
I just wanted to clear up quickly about France. They have not entered the war or declared a war on Iran, but they have strikes. France has deployed air defense systems and fighter jets, with President Macron confirming that shot down Iranian drones in self-defense. So they're defending
themselves a little bit. They're defending
themselves and helping some survivors get away.
What was the guy that used to be the Prime Minister of England during the Iraq War? What's his name? And Afghanistan.
Oh, I can't remember.
Anyway, why can't we remember? What's his name? Anyway, he was scolding them and saying, it doesn't matter if you like the president of the United States or not. That is our ally. And when they need help, you help. Because otherwise, when we need help, they ain't going to be there for us. That's what the whole thing about an ally is. It's not supposed to be like, oh, we'll be your ally when we like your president. And this is the mistake that they've made in Europe, that they may end up on their own fighting something where Trump might say, you weren't there for us.
Yeah.
Deal with your Muslim problem
I
yourself.
Posted the Iron Lady speech about how she says, if we do not take down those the regimes, basically, then there will be big problems in our countries.
Yes. And again, this is not a broad prejudice against Muslims. For people who might accuse you of being Islamophobic, if you're pointing out that, hey, these people want to kill us and we have to stop them. Mm-hmm. And these nutbags, the Iranian regime, are it's so bad that they're building nuclear weapons and openly saying Israel's the little Satan, America's the great Satan, and we're taking you out and we're going to Islamize the world, and there's not going to be a drop of Jewish. This is in the constitution of the Iranian regime, that not a drop of Jewish blood be left on the earth, and everyone be converted to Islam. If they don't convert, they die. And
here's the thing: is that I've been struggling because, of course, everybody knows I monitor all the chats that we get on social media. And the whole thing is like, well, how can America be killing all of these innocent people and all this kind of stuff? Here's the thing. For freedom...
The Iranian regime, we just watched them kill 30,000 of their own innocent, unarmed people in the streets. And they were begging America, please help us.
Yes.
And that's not why we went into war with them, though. It's because when Witkoff and Jared Kushner were in there negotiating with them, I was getting frustrated. Like, when they were able to actually finally speak freely after the negotiations were not going to happen anymore, they were like wide-eyed. Witkoff was like, they told us we have enough to make 11 nuclear bombs right now at the beginning of the negotiations, and then they refused everything. So, regardless, and again, I address this, people don't want to go into war, and
no, they don't.
Okay. There's a lot of misinformation going around too. The information about the school,
taking news and running with false narratives. There's been no
fog
investigation.
of war.
basically. But this is what I'm trying to say is freedom comes with a cost. America paid a lot to be free. It's going to take a lot for the Iranians, the true Iranians, to be free. They know the sacrifice because they've been killed for speaking up before America even got involved, before the world even noticed them. They've been dying in silence trying to be free. There's a Christian movement happening in Iran silently underground because
Remember, Dad prophesied
he
about that.
prophesied that. And the thing is like, and they are dying for their faith. We don't die for our faith here in America. We don't die for our faith anywhere else in the world. They're dying. I mean, of course, China's doing the same thing, but these people are dying. They are giving up their lives for freedom. We over here, we all, da, 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 da. No. They know the cost, and they're willing for everything to be, for this regime to be taken down, so
Well,
they
here's
can
the
be
thing
free.
too: is it whether or not we like it, because nobody likes war.
No one
And I
does.
will say, first of all, I don't want anyone to die.
No.
I don't want any Muslims to die, even the ones that wish death upon me.
Yeah.
And I think that we all feel that way. We don't wish death or harm upon them.
No.
But if they are so deceived, and this is where we're going to get into their eschatology, they're so deceived that they are actively working, and now it's getting nuclear. We know go look at Trump.
Yeah.
I saw a video of Trump in 1980. This was a year after the Iranian Revolution, saying those people are nuts.
Mhm.
We can't, and so them having a nuclear weapon,
Yeah.
multiple nuclear weapons, and look how they've just treated their own allies, just bombing everybody. And you know what? We will see how this goes. But for us here at the House of Destiny, we are looking at what my dad prophesied and the depth of that meaning. And so, really, I'm looking at the Fourth Reich stuff because of the way, in a very demonic way, people now on the right, again, we call it the woke Reich. I'm not calling it that. That's what it's being called. So there you saw my dad prophesying the Fourth Reich. I'm going to show you in a minute Dugan's philosophy, because Dugan's political theory is called Dugan's fourth political theory. So the Fourth Reich, the woke Reich, Dugan's fourth political theory, this gets my attention if I've been, and I'm sure many of you. And again, I'm not taking blame off of the globalists and the World Economic Forum. I think it's that that seems to be being dealt with now, but this is an issue. So now, I brought up at the very beginning about the article that Insurrection Barbie wrote, and everybody's laughing about her name. But I mean, it was absolutely brilliant. I've posted it on my X page. So those of you who follow me on X, you can find it there. If you follow Lance Wallnow, he reposted it, and you can just look for it. It's Insurrection Barbie. It's very long. And so what I've got is I've got a summary here, and I'm going to explain. That's Dugan. I will explain briefly to you what is covered in this article. And so it's entitled The Long Game. And it argues that recent fractures on the American right aren't just policy fights over Israel or America first. It is a deliberate long-term operation to dismantle and replace the evangelical Protestant foundation of the Republican Party, which has been the core base for 70 years, with a Catholic integralist ethno-nationalist framework that views Jews, Israel, and Protestant theology as adversaries. Okay, so this is a specific attack, not just on Jews, but on Protestant evangelical Christians, who you've heard Tucker Carlson say to Nick Fuentes when he interviewed him that he dislikes evangelical Christians more than anyone, more than jihadi Muslims who would blow everybody up and destroy. More than that, we are the ones he hates. Why? Because he's ascribing to this theology that he's getting from Dugan, and this is what I'm going to point out to you in a minute. So, the key thesis. First of all, this is not about regular Catholics. If you're a Catholic, this isn't about you. Just like you can have, fringe groups extremist groups in anything, anything, in a society, in a religion, anything. You have this going on, and it is coming from the East. And it's okay. So let's get into a little bit of it. Political Catholic integralism, church over state, religious liberty as error. Thinkers like, I can't pronounce any of this, it doesn't matter. There's a hardline traditionalism, the SSPX adjacent, anti Vatican II Nick Fuentes world. They've imported these ideas from Russian geopolitics. Dugan had a 1997 blueprint to fracture America internally by severing the evangelical Israel alliance. Now you can understand why God would show this to my dad, who is addressing an evangelical Christian and Jewish audience. Okay, so the way this is executed, their plan, a theological attack. It undermines sola scriptura, pushes replacement theology, where the church supersedes Israel and God's covenants, and frames Christian Zionism as heresy or a brain virus. So we Christians who believe that Israel, the land, belongs to them by right of a covenant with God, because we believe that, we have a brain virus. Okay, so Tucker Carlson is calling for calls the Christian Zionists worse than terrorists. Who are we? That's insane. Candace Owens has converted and is very anti-Protestant. Of course, Nick Fuentes is just a nutbag. Steve Bannon, his name keeps coming up. I've never been a fan. I don't like him. And Daryl Cooper, who is, I don't know who that is, but he's a Holocaust revisionist. Now, this is covered in this article. You must read the whole thing yourself. This is just bullet points I've taken from the article so I could briefly condense it and address it. So you have institutional shifts, Heritage Foundation turmoil under Kevin Roberts, mass resignations over anti-Semitic tolerance, generational targeting, a sharp drop in Israel support among young evangelicals 18 to 34, fed by online pipelines and conversions. So the core warning, it's exploitation of real grievances, endless wars, elite contempt. So those are things that we have grievances about. We don't want endless wars, and those are the voices you see shouting right now about Iran. And not all of them are bad or are part of this. If they're anti-war, I'm anti-war. I'm anti-war unless we need to defend ourselves. So I'm not an isolationist. I don't like what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan. Like I said in the beginning, it was like we spent 20 years there just to turn around and hand it to Al Qaeda, where it's worse now. We don't want our men and women, our soldiers, to die, or anyone to die, if this isn't going to work. And so this is where it comes, where it comes in, where we have to say, okay, do we trust Trump? We trusted him to vote for him. We know that he and people like Marco Rubio, who we trust, are looking at this, and they also, I mean, Trump also doesn't like the war, didn't like Iraq, didn't like Afghanistan. So you know that he's not going into this as a warmonger, like a Lindsey Graham or a Nikki Haley. They're kind of warmonger, or even Condi Rice, she was out there. This weekend I saw her, but she also understands the overall threat over there, although I'm not a fan of hers either. So there's an exploitation of those real grievances as bait. Then switching to conspiracies, blaming the Jews and Israel for everything. Trump isn't behind it. His record, embassy move, Abraham Accords, Jewish family, contradicts it. But the network parasites off his coalition. They lack real voters, so they must demoralize or convert evangelicals fast, especially the next generation. So the bottom line is, it's a sophisticated, patient effort rooted in foreign ideology to hollow out the evangelical heart of the right and replace it with something exclusionary and un-American. Evangelicals need to recognize it, stay firm in their theology, and push back before the base is transformed. And I just want to make sure. So you've got I don't miss anything here. You've got media influences: Tucker Carlson, again, Candace Owens, Steve Bannon, institutional capture, generational targeting, exploiting legitimate concerns and twisting it around so that our blame turns to the Jews and the evangelical Christians who support the Jewish people. So they must convert or demoralize evangelicals fast before the 2028 election. And right now they're desperate. That's why you're seeing Alexander Dugin exposed all of a sudden, because they're failing in their endeavor. And so I would recommend, though, that you read this article, because she really lays out very well what this is. And she unknowingly has just helped understand and recognize the fulfillment of my dad's Fourth Reich prophecies. He's got more than one. He's got the Netherlands one as well, which is quite long. So that's why I'm playing the France one. It's saying the same thing. And so I recommend that. That really impacted me. I mean, I immediately started texting Lance Wallnow, because Lance is an old friend of our family. My dad and Lance have been friends since the 90s, since the beginning, and our families are close. And so, sometimes if I need to talk to someone, I don't have my dad anymore, so I'll call other people. So I called Lance Wallnow and also sent it to Amanda Grace, who has some thoughts and notes on this. So she's going to join us. But then I go and I look at Dugan, right? So I start seeing Lou. I'm wondering if we should go over to my X page. Just looking here. There is one I want to play. Oh no, what have I done to the screen? I do this every time. Okay, you can go to my X page, Lou. I think I posted it right up at the top, because I did want to play. Here it is. So I sent this to Laura Loomer. Laura's on this. So if you guys don't follow Laura, follow her and you'll see she's really on to Dugan now. And as soon as I saw her posting about it, she follows me. We follow each other. And I sent her this video, which she ended up sharing later yesterday. But listen to what.
And we are going to distribute nuclear weapon to everybody who can use it against the West. So I think we are going to supply all kind of strategical weapon to all enemies of American hegemony, Western hegemony against NATO, starting from Middle East to the Far East, to North America. We are going to war. And we are going to distribute nuclear weapon to everybody who can use it against the West. So I think
we are going to distribute nuclear weapons to anyone who will use it across the West. What's 007 saying? I saw my name in the chat. Yeah, this is not an attack on Catholics at all. There is just a group of Catholics called the SS. So it's another fringe group that's ascribing to this, and this is very influenced by Eastern Orthodox Catholicism as well. That where they are, they're not recognizing the Vatican or Rome. So this is not a traditional Catholic movement. SSPX. And so look them up as well, SSPX. And it's in that article. So again, read it. I think we'll put a link to the article in the description here, because I know everybody doesn't use X. I recommend you do. But so Dugan. Okay, so what does Dugan believe? Let's have a look. Let's see. Where am I going to start here? Okay. Dugan's eschatology. This is the problem with Dugan. Now, I've brought this up before to you guys. You know the story. God told me Alexander Dugin is Putin's Rasputin. I don't know what this meant, but I knew it was coming from God because I recognized him, and it was very, very clear. But his eschatology is very warped, and his books are reading in especially to military when they're training, they read Dugan's books. So Russian soldiers have Dugan's mindset. This is required reading for them. And this is the eschatology. We are now in the end times. Western liberalism, globalism, and secular modernity represent the Antichrist. So we're the Antichrist. Now, what does that mirror to you? Iran, what do they call us? The great Satan. Russia is the Katechon, Katechon, the biblical restrainer. Now, we understand the restrainer to be the Holy Spirit. They believe, I used to think it was Putin. I had heard that he believed Putin was the restrainer, but actually it is that Russia is that restrainer and we are the Antichrist in the West. And then they'll use our mistakes and our sins against us to justify that. So like the globalism thing, which we're against. But they use that as a justification. So geopolitics, wait, hang on. Russia, okay, let me finish that point. Russia is the biblical restrainer, the final barrier holding back chaos and the Antichrist's triumph. Moscow, as third Rome, has a messianic role to fight this evil. Okay. Geopolitics is apocalyptic holy war. Battles against the West, like NATO and liberalism, which, we don't like a lot of those things too, but they're putting it all together because we evangelicals actually have been calling that out. But again, I've told you before, how many times have they love to get up and display the sins of the West. They love to do that. I've seen Putin do it again and again. So battle against the West, NATO and liberalism, pit tradition or light, Eurasia, Russia, against darkness, Antichrist. That's us. The end requires active acceleration. Russia and allies must provoke and wage struggle to force the apocalypse. The end of days, this is a quote, should come, but it will not come by itself. This is a task. Right? So they're trying to advance the end times. And they believe that we are the Antichrist that must be overcome. And this is what they're teaching the soldiers. This is what they're teaching Russian people. It's his books. Critics see this as dangerous. Dugan's framework has seeped into parts of the American right, like Tucker. And you wonder what's going on with them. This is it. Portraying U.S. support for Israel or evangelical Christian Zionism as Antichrist aligned, stoking anti-Semitism and division against pro-Israel conservatives. And so Dugan has what is called the fourth political theory. Again, let me remind you, my dad prophesied a fourth Reich. What are they calling the Tuckers and the Candaces in that group, Nick Fuentes? The woke Reich, R-E-I-C-H is what they're calling them, instead of the woke right. So, in a nutshell, Dugan's fourth political theory is this. The old ideologies failed. Liberalism won post-Cold War, but hollowed out society. Transhumanism, woke culture, globalization. Communism second, and fascism third. Okay? So the fourth political theory is the radical beyond, in quotes, rejects modernism's roots, which is progress, individualism, materialism, to revive authentic existence centered on organic cultures, traditions, religions, and civilizations. Freedom defined, okay, this is another point, not liberal individualism, but collective cultural freedom for people, traditions to resist global hegemony, aiming for a multipolar world, Eurasia, Islam, China versus Western liberalism. The goal, bury liberalism via anti-hegemonic alliances and sacred revival philosophical basis for opposing US-led order. In practice, this has been used against American conservatives. Dugan's anti-liberal, anti-Atlanticist ideas, echoed by some MAGA voices, attack neocons, Israel, and evangelical support for it. These betrayals driving wedges, normalizing anti-Semitic tropes, and targeting Christian Zionists as part of the enemy within the right. Dugan's eschatology provides the fiery why, a cosmic battle against evil, often framed anti-Jewish, anti-evangelical, while the fourth political theory offers the how, a new ideology to undermine liberalism from within. Unfortunately, elements have infiltrated MAGA circles, amplifying division, anti-Semitism, and hostility toward pro-Israel evangelicals, weakening the movement from the inside. So that's Dugan. That's his plan, and it's much more. There's more than that. I just wanted to do a quick summary because I knew we wouldn't have time. But I encourage you, each and every one of you, go and look it up. Look up who Dugan is. Look up what he's up to. He is, I don't know how close he is to Putin, but a lot of the things that Putin does are what Dugan thinks should be done. So you know that he does have an influence on Putin. And one thing we know is my dad prophesied a lot about this, about Putin, about Ukraine, about Russia, that situation, that war. He prophesied all about Israel. And starting at the very beginning, when he first moved to the United States of America, God revealed to him the enemy that we would face, and that is the beast of the East. The beast of the East being the joining of these hands. We heard him say it in the Fourth Reich prophecy that Italy, Germany, the Netherlands, France, and England would have to fight a short war against Islamic invasion. And the result of would be overcoming an agreement between Russia and Iran. That's what Dad prophesied. And things would end up being reconciled. It would come through reconciliation. Yes, we will put the article link. Lou, we need to put that article link in the description. Now, we can't add it to the description until after this broadcast because we're live. You have to wait for it to end. And once it's up, officially ended and then loaded as not live anymore, that's when we can add links. So wait for this to end, and then Lou will add the link into the description. In the meantime, we can put it in the chat, which we will do. The link I will put in the chat for you. So how am I going to do that? Let's see. I will share this link. I'll copy it. And then Lou, I'll put it into our chat here and paste it. Okay, there it is. So that you guys can put in the chat right now. So that article is in the chat. Very long, worth a read. And if you don't want to read, you can actually, if you're on X, it gives you the option to click listen, and you can listen to AI read it to you if you can't read, like maybe you're in a car or something. And so now I want to have a look at the prophecy from March 20th of 2014, where my dad again prophesies about Russia and Iran, and he has a larger concern there. And I want to remind everybody, because many of you, maybe this is your first time seeing this prophecy, but it's actually longer. And in this prophecy, he's shouting, you know nothing, and you're not supposed to know. And that's very interesting to me because, as we're sitting in the middle of a war right now, there's so much that we don't know. And there's so much we're not supposed to know, especially in connection to weapons. And this is what I'm going to get to next. But let's look at March 20th of 2014, Lou.
A new territorial spirit has arisen and has fouled the nations of the earth, has fooled the nations of the earth. And God said it will continue. And they shall say, this has given us an idea. Steel jets, And your intelligence says it shall never happen since we have implemented the security since 2011. Ha! And what you have done, says the Lord, is you have ignored your reliance upon the King of life itself, the Lord your God. Now you're at my mercy, says the Lord. Search as much as you wish, for it shall come to pass that I will expose. For Russia has joined its hands to Iran, Syria, and is gathering as many nations as possible to come and strike the Jews and to strike at this Christian nation and cause you to be crippled, says the Lord.
Okay, so that is a longer prophecy. We just did the short version today just because I wanted you to see again. He's prophesying about the union of Russia and Iran. Now, something we've seen is just this past week during the war with Iran that Russia has been sharing intelligence with the Iranians about where our guys were located so that they could hit them. And so that's just one thing. I saw somebody put West Huff. I recommend West Huff always. That guy's great. I didn't say hello to you guys. Hi, everybody. West Virginia Mountain Mama. And I see Strumming is there. I don't trust Steve Bannon either, Wayne Mo. I don't trust him at all. Obviously, I mean, look what's come out about him. He's no good, but I've never thought he was. You'll notice he was around. He was around during the Reawaken time when I was on the Reawaken America tour. He was around, and I never pursued. He really wasn't on that tour, though. He wasn't, but he was. I remember him being around, and I never pursued to interview him. I had no interest. So Tony Blair, thank you, Winifred. Tony Blair is the one that told Keir Starmer how stupid he was for not helping their ally. Like he made the point of it doesn't matter if you like the president or not. If you don't like the president, you know that's going to change in America. But you respect who your allies are. That's a serious thing. And England did not, because of the Islamification. So I have had a crazy time just because I know what not only have I been following these prophecies for years, but I know what God told me. And that has been a wild thing for me to deal with because it shocked me. I mean, I've been saying that little saying for years, not even really understanding what it meant. And I truly was coming out of a place of just knowing nothing. And so when I hear Alexander Dugin as Putin's Rasputin all over X, and I'm seeing memes and I'm seeing videos, you can go over to my X page now, Lou. It really is shocking for me. I'm scrolling down to where I posted a lot about Dugan this week. I can't even click on all these, but you guys can go look and see what I've been looking at because I shared a lot about this. A lot about Dugan after I saw the initial post. There's David Duke. He's been behind a lot of stuff that's happened and influencing a lot of leaders in America, and it's caused a big problem. And I believe this is what my dad was picking up on. Now, another link that I want to actually put in your put in the description and in the chat is the video I put together on the Putin prophecies, where it's every single thing my dad ever prophesied about Putin except for one. And the one is connected to Cuba. Actually, we could play that too. Here it is. I saw that. And look at my reaction. What? I don't even know what to think right now. I can't believe what I'm reading. Because I scrolled and saw that. And it blew me away. And you guys know. We actually put together a video of me saying it over and over and over again. Alexander Dugin is Putin's Rasputin, but it's so long I didn't want to do it. You know what? Before I shift, because I do actually want to go over to the weapons that I'm concerned about. Can you bring John's painting over here? I just want to show you guys my husband. You can take my X page off, Lou. He's finished it. The new painting, you guys. He's finished it, and so excited. We did post it on my X a few days ago. Once he had finished, you can just hand it to me. Let me see if you guys can see. This is the new one. He's also got new paper, like a nicer paper he's using. Why don't you stand back? There you go. I'll move out of the way. Move over that way or this way. No, other way. More. No, other way. Yeah. Hold it up. Okay, so just so you can get a good look, that is the new painting my husband has done. Anybody who wants to get one, his email address is at the bottom of the screen. The ministry does not sell these, only my husband. It's just my husband at home. He's an artist, and he does these beautiful, unique pieces. And this one he did, it's all Jesus. And this one he did of Jesus, the lion, and the lamb. Isn't it awesome? Look at that. Look how nicely. Now he was sitting there drawing at this in his room, and it took him a long time. All the detail of getting the wool on the lamb here. I mean, it's incredible how he's able to do that. And if you notice, this paper is it's a different kind of paper. It's like a canvas. This paper feels more like a canvas. So this is a new one. Anybody who wants one, feel free to email my husband. He works with you on price. And it's just lovely.
Do you know what I saw when I saw that picture?
What?
I saw Jesus holding the lamb and his shadow being the lion,
Yes.
roaring, protecting the lamb.
Yes, that is exactly right.
That's what, the minute I saw it, I was like, that's Jesus' shadow is the lion, and he's holding the lamb in comfort, but at the same time roaring as protection.
Yes.
I
love it. Isn't it
just-
beautiful?
Oh,
So yes, anybody,
Great
if you want to
job,
get
John.
one, done a really great job. If you want one, all you have to do is email him. Again, he does work with you on price. It costs him about $45 or so to do the whole process of printing them, the cost of paper, ink, shipping, everything. But he also works with people because he wants everybody to be able to get one. And if you don't have enough money, that you can still have one. So he will work with you. And then, of course, there's the other ones he's done. If you're new here and you haven't seen, he's done. That was the one he did at the end of last year. And a lot of people are getting silver leafing on the crown. So he will do gold and silver leafing on some of these. And the silver on that one is actually really nice. Here it is gold. That's the first Jesus, and then the lion. And the reason he did the lion was for me, because God showed me the lion. And I freaked out about it. Because I didn't know why God had I thought he was showing me Jesus. I just thought it was just, which it was, but there was more to it. And as soon as the stuff started to happen in Iran, all connected to my dad's prophecies, then the lion started to show up. Operation Rising Lion, Roaring Lion. That's what Israel named their operations to free the Iranian people. And I know you guys. It's such a difficult time right now because it's so difficult to discern. It's so difficult to see what the truth is. And I'm doing just my absolute best to show you guys the prophecies and the fulfillment of those, or just along the way, trying to figure things out, like who is the Esther. It really has been a beautiful journey with all of you. And I'm not coming at you as someone who just knows. I don't know. I'll give you my opinions about things. Sometimes I'm wrong, and I'll tell you that because, we're friends. We're brothers and sisters in Christ, and we're together, and we are under attack now by people in our own political party who are calling us evil Zionists and blaming the Jews for everything. And then, in turn, that blames us. So how dare we support, the Jewish people in Israel and their right to exist, and just, river to the sea, because they're behind all the problems in all the world and they control everything, which is so not true. If you just look at the evidence, it's not true at all. They don't control everything. And all they're trying to do is just live in peace. And they being attacked constantly, they gave the Palestinians Gaza, they gave them that territory in the mid 2000s and said, here, we will leave. And they actually left. They moved Jewish graves out of the land. And so much was poured into that territory. And what did they use with the money? They didn't use the money to build up their country. They used it to build tunnels, a tunnel system underneath that is an incredible tunnel system underneath Gaza. For what goal? To attack Israel. And so really the world is just really asking Israel to say, and saying to them, just die. Everything is your fault. That is a spirit. That is demonic. That goes all the way back to what? The story of Esther. And what did my dad prophesy? An Esther who would arise, whoever that Esther is. We haven't figured it out yet. I know Christy Nome has now been moved, and I see you guys in the comments earlier. I just couldn't address it yet. But I know Christy Nome has been moved into that position now where it will be dealing with the cartels. So that is a legitimate question to ask, is the person he's talking about? And I know a lot of people say, well, virtuous, she's being accused of affairs, she shot her dog, all this. And so that has given me pause, because I'm not a fan of that. But also we need to remember that a lot of rumors go around in politics, and oftentimes they aren't true. So I don't know if it's true or not. I have not looked into it. I don't know much about Christy Nome except for what I see on the news of what she was doing with the border. I understand she did she spent way too much money on those ads and then tried to blame Trump, and I don't like that. I didn't like that. So I don't know really what to think about that. But also, I just want to remind everybody that with the new painting, my husband, I forgot to bring this up, but the new painting that my husband has just done, Jesus, the Lion and the Lamb, that's what I'm calling it. The first 100, and only the first 100 of these, they're going to be special because they're going to be signed not only by him, but also by me. And we've never done that, but the two of us are gonna sign them. Only the first 100. So if you want to be one of those first 100s to get the special first 100 set, you better email him now, because those go quickly. He's already, I mean, just from our post the other day, I've been contacted by a bunch of people. So he just texted to remind. Actually, he texted Lou, but I saw his text because I'm cut to lose iPad here with the chat. So I saw it. Okay, there's something else I want to look at, and this is we're gonna shift gears a little bit today, because I'm concerned over what is Iran gonna do, the regime, not the people. I worry about this war and a hidden or secret weapon that appears nuclear. And this is something we covered before. This is the whole reason I actually met Brandon Biggs, who was seeing similar things as my dad had. And I knew he didn't know what my dad had seen all the way back in 2012. So I really took note of that as a confirmation and a warning. And I reached out. I met Brandon Biggs. We are good friends now. We talk on the phone. He texts me constantly. I text him back. We talk, we call. And he has his gift is different. It's very interesting for me to see this in the prophetic gift in other people like Amanda or Brandon Biggs or many others. And the way that it comes through with Brandon is very different to my dad, but he sees very accurately. I mean, he saw the bullet skimming Trump's ear, and that's how we all came to know who he was, because of how accurate that was after Trump was shot in the ear. Current leaders of Iran are taking a bus to Russia. Yes, they will have refuge. So yeah, we can see now, not only did my dad see that would happen, but there's a reason he saw that would happen. That is a warning. In the middle of that, we're seeing the Fourth Reich. The Fourth Reich being that union, which now we've discovered this week, driven by Dugan, who has Putin's ear, however much he has it. His books are textbook for Russian military and such. So now we've learned that, and that movement is a targeted attack on Israel and their claim to the land, and the evangelical Christian base, voting base in America. So that's their target. So now when you hear Tucker or Candace or Nick Fuentes or some of them, those are just the names I know off the top of my head. There's others too that I don't even know who they are. But I don't follow everybody. But either way, when you hear these people and you see what's going on, those people have been influenced by Dugan's fourth theology. Who?
Just seeing if Amanda texted you.
Oh,
because I sent the email, but I don't know if she's listening.
She was doing something. She has not.
Okay.
Now, I know that she was doing something. If she doesn't make it today, we'll have her come next week. That's fine. I did kind of at the last minute, and she had something to do at church. So she was going to, as soon as she got back from church, log in. So we might still catch her.
I just didn't know
but we are running out of time.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't want to make a big deal about advertising Amanda today, because I wasn't sure if she was going to make it in time. If Amanda does not make it in time today, everybody, I will have her come next week for sure. Because she has read that article as well. And she had done, what did she do? Let me see. She prayed about this, and she had written down the names and was seeing what was happening with the letters there. But I'm going to let her explain that to you. If it isn't today, it'll be next week. So don't worry, everybody.
I just want to throw in a quick thing before you go to the weapon, if you're going to do it.
I am.
You had posted earlier about a lady was speaking about how in Iran they're scattering, but it's not. We shouldn't be worrying about that now. We should be worrying about the places that they've infiltrated.
Ayana
Hirsi.
Yes. Now, Ayana Hirsi, I love her. And if I could meet her, I'm a fan.
Well,
but here's why I'm a fan, and I'll explain that quickly. I just want to say it before I forget. Ayana Hirsi is a Somalian,
yes,
and a Muslim. Now, you know they do the female genital mutilation, that was done to her. Yes. She had to flee because of her father's political stuff that he was doing to resist them. I don't know the details, but her family had to flee, and they ended up in Denmark?
Yes.
In the Netherlands, somewhere over there.
Somewhere there.
And she ended up completely, she is not a Muslim, and she had become an atheist. And she went to school, and she served in the government there. I think it was Denmark. And has now converted to Christianity, but she was there with all those intellectual atheists arguing. She was arguing against Islam in particular, but against the existence of God, all that. And she had a conversion experience with, I think it was a baker who led her to Christ. And she is now a Christian. And she has been sounding the alarm about the invasion of Islam. And she is very, very clever. This woman is no fool. And just at the right time, she's become a Christian. I'm so grateful. But you must listen to her. Now,
when you posted that, I listened.
Did you to her interview?
And here's the thing: is the regime, even though they are weakening right now, look at London. Look what's happening there.
She's saying they're
having Islamists. What are they called? Extreme Islamists.
Extremists. Yeah, Islamists. You could call them.
Riding horses with banners, with white banners on their arms, policing the streets. And the police are standing back with their little orange.
Because Europe has been taken over. And that's why you see my dad prophesying the Fourth Reich.
Yes, but here's the thing.
From Europe.
What screamed at me, because when we were talking on the phone yesterday and we said something, I said, I heard your fan in my head. So when I saw that video, and I have been saying this a lot, the enemies of America are not from outside, but are inside of America.
And that's the point she was making.
That. And when I've been watching things that's been going on, look at Texas.
Here it is.
What's going on there? All the mosques that are popping up, the extremists, all the threats that are happening around, the people screaming on planes and threatening bombs on planes. Have you seen that? Yeah. That flew out of Nashville.
I don't know if that video is real.
There's been other ones.
Not
too.
Real, but it was old.
Oh, well, there's other ones that have been popping up on the news. But what I'm trying to say is there are extremists that have taken over here. I think it's in North Carolina, the 37th district. The woman that is not being opposed right now, she's a Muslim wearing the hijab.
Yes, I saw her.
And she's not being opposed, going into government. Look who's in our government right now in the Senate and that. They're not even American citizens.
Right.
So this is what I'm saying is we got to
I
be
don't
very
think anybody
vigilant
should serve
of
an American.
America.
I don't think anybody, and I include myself because I wasn't born here. I'm a legal immigrant, and we respected this country and immigrated legally. It took us 15 years.
We got to pray and vote.
But here's the thing. Ayana is warning that look what's just happened in the Middle East now with this Iran war. All of those extremist groups are being rejected by the other Muslim countries, the more moderate Muslim countries.
Yeah.
So they're rejecting this extremist, which we're glad to see. And it appears that they just needed somebody with some guts like Trump to come in and help them. And none of them have stood with the Iranian regime. None of those countries. No Saudi Arabia, no UAE, no Dubai, no Oman, none of them. Even though, okay, Qatar houses the Muslim Brotherhood, but even them, they are like, would outwardly say something, publicly say something, but then secretly it's like, let them get rid of them. They're causing trouble for their own countries, economically, and just so much instability. And they do actually secretly want there to be, but they can't come out and say it. And that is what you're seeing happen in Europe as well.
Yeah.
Because the jihadists and the Islamists, the nutbags, bully everybody else. They bully the other Muslims. They look what they've done to the to Iran. The Iranian people they used to be Zoroastrian.
But
everywhere
they've gone.
Islam has been in Iran a long time, though.
They've been bullying the British. They're bullying. I mean, look at countries now that are closing their borders and trying to kick them out because they're seeing these things happen.
I don't want to forget the point, though. Ayana is warning that what will happen to those, what happens to the Houthis, what happens to Hamas, what happens to Hezbollah, if they're pushed out of those places, where are they going to go? They're going to come here to the West, where they have a nice little situation already set up for them, where the leaders of Europe are so bullied that they're too scared even to defend their allies, which is nuts. That Keir Starmer just refused. That is nuts, if you think about it.
Yeah.
And so, interestingly, my dad sees Italy, Germany, the Netherlands, France, and England having to fight. And he didn't mention America. Now, I don't know if that means, I don't want to read into it too much, but I do notice he doesn't say America.
Keep our eyes open. We'll see.
So it looks like Europe's going to have to take care. And I can see Trump saying that to them too. Like, that's your problem.
Well, Starmer said, "Oh, we'll join you now." And Trump
already said, "No way." I saw.
No,
Trump said, "No way.
We don't need you. Don't come in at the end.
You don't join once we're already winning the war." I mean, it's really disgraceful, and I'm really sorry for all the British.
Seeing what you just
Listen,
said happen.
For all the British people, we know it's not you, and we understand the situation. And British people are so British that they're gonna be easy to bully. That's why you see England is probably one of the worst.
But the real British people are trying to stand up.
They are. Tommy Robinson being one of them. You know, he's really trying. There are some really strong British voices. Now, I don't know. I'm going to try to. No. Where's my X page? I've done it myself, Lou. I've done it myself. This is the. I don't know what's going to happen when I click this.
Let me explain to you guys this in simple English. Okay?
This is not long. You know what? Let's watch this.
Religious fanatic lunatics.
This is her.
They have an admission to have nuclear weapons, and the world will be a safer place.
Please follow her, you guys. Follow her. God is using her.
Yeah, forget diplomatic speak. Why don't you just tell it like it is? A warning to the West following the death of the Ayatollah. Our next guest writing in part, quote, Khomeini is dead, and that is cause for celebration. Yet, what he spent almost half his life building, the money, the networks, the radicalized men already living in the Western cities, still exists. Hoover Institute research fellow and founder of the AHA Foundation, Ayaan Hirsi Ali, joins us now. Born in Somalia, raised to embrace Islam, but converted to Christianity and lives with us now. Ayaan, great to see you. Your point is radical Islam is said, happily is decreasing in the Middle East, but it's increasing in the West. How did this happen?
So, Brian, very nice to see you. I'm obviously watching Operation Epic Fury, which I think for the Ayatollahs is Judgment Day. Great. What's going to happen now is that the Islamists, are going to be cleared out of the Middle East, not just out of Iran, but out of Saudi Arabia, out of the UAE, out of other parts of the Middle East. And you have to ask yourself, where are these people going to go? Where will the Islamists, the people who run the Houthis, the people who run Hezbollah, the people who benefited from the Islamist regime of Iran, where will they go? They will try and come to the West. They will come. That is ironic. They'll try to come to America. They'll try and come to Europe. In America, we have an administration that has closed the borders. Thank you, Donald Trump, for that. And I think as we get into the next phase of this, we're going to start to look at networks all across the United States of America of subversion through Islamists, whether it's the Muslim Brotherhood or the Shia branches of that. I worry, and this is a warning for European leaders, that these Islamists are going to come to Europe where they have enormous clout, political clout, cultural clout, financial clout. This is the unintended consequence of Operation
Of your
Epic.
liberal, open up the borders. These people are refugees. Let's open up your hearts. How dare you? Are you an Islamophobe if you stand up and say, wait, we're losing our national identity? Trump didn't mind saying that. The Europeans were horrified. Now they're realizing he was right. Let's give everyone an idea of what England's looking at. If you look at the parties as they stand right now, Gordon and Denton results say 30% of the electorate is Muslim. The Green Party, you got 14,000, Reform Party, 10,000, Labour Party, 8,000. But you have within the Green Party, 30% of that Green Party is Muslim. These numbers are growing. So if these politicians want to get elected, they got to ask the Muslim community, what do you want? And they're giving them what they want. And in this case, in the UK is, don't help out America. In Spain, don't help out America. And they're listening.
Exactly. That is what I call the red-green alliance, where the red are the communists, the Marxists, the far leftists, and the greens are the Islamist movements. And if you have an environment like that, highly hospitable to people who are fleeing the Middle East, let me tell you something, Brian. The Islamists will be treated in the Middle East like the Nazis were treated during the Second World War. So they're going to...
It cuts off here.
We just froze there for a second. Sometimes it bounces back. I'd love for her to finish that sentence. She's got a great editorial in the Free Press. But by the way, the conclusion, October 7th, was supposed to turn the whole Muslim world against the U.S. and Israel. What's happened since? Horrible day, but since that time, the world has chosen Israel and the U.S., and Iran is the one fighting for its life right now.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley
Very
Earhart.
interesting. But that is why I wanted to bring up the Fourth Reich prophecy from Europe, because what she just described is what my dad was seeing and prophesying. Good news is he saw them having to fight a short war, and that they would overcome the beast of the East, and that there would be reconciliation. They would overcome an agreement between Russia and Iran. So now today I've been able to show you a little bit of, number one, why are we suddenly seeing this explosion of anti-Semitism on the right? And we can see it's where it's coming from, and it's not just coming from Islam, it's also coming from Russia. And so we need to be wary, especially as Protestant evangelical Christians. We are also, it's not just the Jews, it's us also. Actually, we are the target because they want to get rid of that base. And that is what is in the Insurrection Barbie, so funny to say it that way, article, which I'm telling you, please read it, every one of you. If you can read it, if you don't want to read it, you can click play on the thing and it'll read it to you. Please, please take the time so that we understand what we're dealing with as Christians. And also, it is not an attack against average Catholic, regular Catholic people. That's not it. I'm sure you guys are not cool with that too. Um, and we're seeing also in Islam, you have, just your regular people who were born in the Middle East, grew up there, and they're Muslim, like Saudi Arabia. They're Muslim. There are the extremist groups within that are the jihadi terrorist groups we've been dealing with since 9/11, which I played for you, the 9/11 prophecy. And so things are beginning to come together, and it's very, very interesting. I am not going. We're running out of time, so I am not going to do the nuclear weapon. I'm not going to go in that direction. We are concerned of what Iran might do. Do they actually have a nuclear weapon somewhere? Have they been provided nuclear weapons or some other kind of a weapon? Because actually the weapon my dad and Brandon Biggs saw was not nuclear. For both of them, it appeared to be a nuclear weapon. And then they both were like, no, wait, this is not a nuclear weapon. This is something else. My dad saw it hidden. You remember I had put this prophecy out, for those of you who have been following a long time. I put that prophecy out as, because he used the letter Q, and I was thought maybe he's using the QAnon movement. It looks like that may actually be, the whole Q thing may actually be part of this Russian campaign. I know a lot of you are not going to want to hear this right now. A lot of you are going to get mad at me. I'm not sure, but it is appearing that way, and I want to be honest with you. Because I was a person who was very, very interested in Q. I even thought this prophecy had something to do with Q because the letter Q was in it. But if you listen to it, he says he was seeing a weapon, and he says, I saw A and Q, that's where it's at. So it seems to me maybe a dirty bomb, mustard. Yes, he saw mustard color, but it was something hidden. And so this is something to pray about. Oh, you know what? Maybe I should just play it. I've told you enough. Just put it on, Lou. Let's just put it on. We'll end with that. Because this is what I want you guys to pray about. I want to make sure that they don't use this on the Iranian people, like the Iranian regime. I'm praying they don't use this on the Iranian people or somewhere. I'm praying this is my dad. It seems like almost everything he was seeing was connected in some way or another to this war in this moment in time. And then God showed me the lion and Alexander Dugin. And so now that's even more like pay attention. And so please pray for the safety. Pray for the safety of the Iranian people, of our soldiers. Number one, our soldiers, our American soldiers who are so brave. Our military is incredible. I'm so proud. I feel so safe now that you see, and they do have hidden weapons. And my dad saw that. You know nothing. You know nothing. You don't know, and you're not supposed to know. So there's some things that we are not supposed to know, and we should be okay with that. I am. So Lou, will you pull up that prophecy? And we're going to put the links for these in we're going to put the links for these in the description.
Language. I suddenly became aware of danger, and it seemed like there were signs of war. What frightened me was that there was a talk of a destructive weapon, and I heard this. They're looking in the wrong place. It's hidden. And so I was catapulted hundreds of feet into the air, and I was above a large forest. Now, I think some of you even heard me say that. And it was like I was hovering above this massive forest. The color seemed dusty with hints of yellow and mustard. With hints of it's like mustard or yellow. It didn't seem like a normal forest. And this country contains something extremely dangerous. I was aware of the fact that as a prophet in this age, I was in a similar position as Elisha was when he started seeing and hearing the plans of the enemy. I became aware of extreme heat and danger. My body was overwhelmed by it was like radiance and fire, and fear struck me for the first time. And that's when I said, it's okay, because it's almost like I was trying to tell somebody that was in this vision. But fear struck me for the first time. Was this nuclear? Was this atomic? What was this that I was feeling? Was I interceding on behalf of Israel and America? I believe I was, first of all. But at that point, there were multiple visions.
Israel and America. Was I
And the
interceding?
question seemed to arise constantly.
Can I pause it?
Armageddon.
Pause it. I was interceding for Israel and America. Now, who is fighting this war right now? Israel and America. Okay, push play.
Slaughter of humanity. An atomic war no one wanted, but which no one had the wisdom to avoid. Now, I need to say that to you again, and I want you to listen to it, because this is what I heard. Armageddon, the slaughter of humanity, an atomic war no one wanted, but which no one had the wisdom to avoid. What were we to pray for? For wisdom. And the Spirit of the Lord then, that's when He was showing me this weapon that nobody knows about, or perhaps they are ignoring, because at that point, for those that have watched the vision that I had, watched me in the Spirit, I said, it's okay. The vision of wickedness and impending danger is due to some device hidden in a place unknown to the present intelligence. That's what I have to tell you. And maybe even ignored. In other words, that's not important. This weapon is in a human mind. And the weapon that is in this human mind came to me when I saw some alphabetical letters. I saw some letters. At first I thought it was A to Z. Now this is a puzzle to me right now. But God almost said to me, focus on this, so that the mystery can be unfolded. The letters were A and Q. That's all I saw. And He said, that's where it's at. Then I saw Russia, I saw Pakistan, and I saw a connection. That's all I saw there. And I remember that, but I didn't say it. That's important for you to take note of. Go out there and research. Sunil's going to as well. The vision of fire and water. Now, I was absolutely surrounded by evil. And I felt as Daniel did, praying for his people. Now, let me just tell you what Daniel said. He said, while I was praying, the man Gabriel, now remember, Gabriel is one of the most powerful angels, whom I'd seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly. Now, you think about God and time. Why would God need an angel to move rapidly? Because men have power to control things that happen on the earth, because God put man on the earth. So when things happen, they can retard it, they can slow it down, or they can hasten it. And so the angel was caused to fly swiftly. That's what Daniel says. And it reached me about the time of the evening offering. And I want you to get this, because it's so few people realize and understand the power of the evening offering. Because he says the angel arrived and got to me about the time of the evening offering. Russia was yielding from her. Now, Russia would yield. Now, I wasn't sure what that meant, but I saw ashes and ashes.
Russia would
and
yield.
Then suddenly out of the ashes arose a charmer, a man, a serpent in a man with seducing power as I'd not ever seen before.
Huh.
Keep your eye on Russia. Watch what happens.
Dugan. He would have said
God
Putin.
told me to pray for them.
Okay, you can turn this off now. I don't need the rest of the video because it goes into a different prophecy. Okay, so you guys heard all of that. And I saw someone in there write, that you like Dugan's writings. There are some things that we would agree with Dugan on when it comes to, the woke left and the globalists. We, of course, disagree, but that's a trap too. And it may not even be intentional, but you just heard this man. I don't know if you heard it, but I was playing video of him talking about how they plan to arm everybody with nuclear weapons who wants to use them against the West. And there is a targeted attack on the Jews, Israel, and evangelical Christians who are, you know, very influential in America and in the voting here. And so, essentially, it's an attempt to transform everything in the world, the way it all works and runs, and to take away that evangelical influence, because it's very strong in America, and they don't want that anymore. They want to be more isolationist, and this is all to the benefit of our enemies, who want to ultimately, they want to be this global superpower. So how do they take out America? And these are the ways in which they do it. Then, of course, you have my dad. He's seeing Russia. He's seeing a charmer. Now, that's the first time I actually thought about that part of the prophecies. He sees this charmer who would be very influential. Well, Dugan. What if he was seeing Dugan? Because Dugan is behind the Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, hate the Jews, hate evangelical Christian movement that's happening on the right, which is being referred to as the woke Reich, R-E-I-C-H, which my dad prophesied the Fourth Reich. He saw Europe having a short war. You see where this is going. And so please do read the article by Insurrection Barbie. Please read it. We've put the link in the chat, but we will also put the link in the description. And then the prophecy I just played you, as well as the Putin prophecies. Lou, should I text you those links quickly so you can add them in the chat? Or Jacqueline? Or Lou? Lou, okay. I can't hear everything you're saying. He's talking to me, but I can't hear him.
My phone's not connected to copy and paste to the computer, so you'll have to email it to the ministry.
Email it. Okay, to the email address for the. Okay, so let me do that. I'm going to do that for you guys right now. I want you to go back and watch the 2 YouTube videos. The one I just played for you, and then.
Once the live is over, the chat disappears, so I'll just put in the description.
Okay, he's not going to put it in the chat because this chat's going to go away as soon as we end in a minute. So it'll be in the description. So let me send, well, I'll just do it as soon as we end then. So look for the article from Insurrection Barbie, the link to the prophecy I just played you about the bomb, nuclear war nobody wanted, but nobody had the wisdom to avoid. I really hope we overcome that. Well, because he did see it's okay. Anyway, look at that one, and then also the Putin prophecies, which I put all of them together in one, except for one of them that I couldn't find to put in that video, which we have now found. But I'm going to have to post that, so I'll post that later as well. But there's some stuff for you guys to look at. I encourage you to do that. If you follow me on X, there's tons of information on Alexander Dugin and other things to do with Iran and what's going on with the war in Iran. We're very happy to see the Iranian people getting some help, and that truly is good. And we'll just continue to pray for our military and our troops, and the Israeli military and their troops, and just that God's will is done in this. That's ultimately what we want. I think Amanda wasn't able to make it. I know she wasn't sure. So I'll have Amanda come on with me next week. So make sure you come back here next week, and we'll have Amanda join us to go over some of this a little bit more. And who knows what happens during the week too. It's been crazy. But I love you all. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for supporting our ministry. We really need it. You know, I keep hearing these stories about so-and-so is being paid $7,000 per post and all these, but we don't get any of that. Nobody's ever even offered us anything like that. And so the way that we are able to do this, to bring these prophecies to you and everything here that we have at the House of Destiny Network, you fund it, and just you. We don't have any high fancy donors or anything like that. It's you. And so we appreciate you so much. Because of you, we are able to do what we do. So if you want to support what we're doing, It's on the bottom of the screen there, the different ways that you can donate to our ministry and our work and our missions. For those of you giving $25 or more today, you will get a copy of Prophetic Revelations, a collection of letters by the pen of Kim Clement. It is incredible. If you give an offering of any amount, we will send you the daily devotional called Daily Light. And also, you can join our partnership if you so wish. It's called the Prophecy Vault. And because of our vault partners, we've been able to digitize so much of the footage that we had in so many different formats. My dad traveled a lot. So he appeared on television and he went to different churches at different times. And this is starting in the early 80s all the way through to 2015. And so we have, we release that every day. Tomorrow there will be another one, Prophetic Rewind. Do go and watch that. That is the fruit of our partners. And so we thank you so much. Keep praying for each other. Pray about Dugan. Pray about all the stuff.
Before you go, tomorrow's Prophetic Rewind. Very good.
Is it?
When
I haven't seen it yet.
What happens when God is silent?
Oh, I do know.
You
Yes,
do
and
know.
I do know.
So, guys,
Yeah.
this is a
It's
very
gonna be a good
powerful
one.
message that Kim talked on in Detroit
1997.
in 1997
Yeah.
in Detroit. He spoke about what happens when you don't hear God in time of trouble. Very powerful. So don't
Oh,
miss
we
it.
need to hear that right now.
Kim.tv. Go and watch it
And you
tomorrow.
can just, wherever you're watching right now, just come back here tomorrow and it'll be
Yeah.
there for you to watch. Don't miss
It'll
Prophetic
be
Rewind.
available on our website from 12 a.m. Eastern Time, 2 a.m. Central, 3 a.m.
Yes, they get it. And then also just run back there and put John's new painting back up. And then, what was the other thing? Oh, don't forget to join us for Gathering of the Dangerous Prayer, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central. Wednesday's analysis, Christy and I are going to be looking at some of these prophecies and analyzing them even more. So make sure you don't miss that. And then here is John, my husband's new painting, available now. Email him to get yours today. First 100 are autographed by he and I for the first time ever, and it's only the first 100. We're doing that for you guys. So, oh my gosh, I'm going to get pulled into conversations looking in the chat. Okay, I love you guys. Don't miss anything here at the House of Destiny Network this week, and we will see you next week for more Code Breakers. Goodbye. Hello, friends. I'm Donné Clement Petruska, and I am honored to invite you to something truly extraordinary, the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. Now you can gain unprecedented access to my father's entire digitized video archive. Every prophetic moment, every powerful teaching, every anointed worship session is now available to you in the Prophecy Vault. We've also enhanced the prophecy database, meticulously updating it with new video content and profound insights. Plus, I'm excited to share that my dad's special School of the Prophets teachings are included, offering you deep, transformative lessons on hearing God's voice and understanding his revelations. As part of your membership, you'll also gain access to my prophecy blog, where I break down and analyze my father's prophecies, connecting them to current events. This blog will provide you with exclusive insights and a deeper understanding of how God's word is unfolding right now. And we're offering something truly special: exclusive analysis sessions available only to members of the Prophecy Vault. These sessions will go beyond the surface, providing in-depth exploration of specific prophecies and their implications for today and the future. Your partnership is crucial. Not only will you gain access to these incredible resources, but you'll also help us continue the vital work of preserving, digitizing, and adding new Kim Clement material to the archives. So, I'm inviting you to step into the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. Let's embark on this journey of revelation together, and I can't wait to see you inside.